Hi everyone, this is Dianne Devitt and welcome to the continuing series of This is a Stick-Up, where we interview luminaries and pioneers and very important people in the meetings and events industry. Today with me is Steve Pastor, friend, colleague, industry leader, owner and creator of Alpine Creative Group, which is one of the leading marketing companies in the industry, Steve. Congratulations with that.
Oh, thank you for inviting me.
Well, I'm so glad you're here. And before we get started, because there's so much to learn about you, I love these because we've known each other for 25 or however many years. Mm-hmm. And I just found out a few things about you in my research.
Uh-oh.
So where do you come from, Steve? Were you born in New York? Are you a New Yorker?
I was born in New York. I'm actually local to here. I could walk from here to where my parents lived, where I grew up on 11th Street and 2nd Avenue.
No
kidding. So this is actually my neighborhood.
2nd Avenue Deli.
Yes, it was actually there. It was on 10th Street.
Wow,
yes. That's
great. I didn't realize that. And so you're a New York boy and went to school here, or?
Yes, I went to school here.
Wow. And so I know when I was reading a little bit about you that you mentioned your involvement with, nonprofits and Gilda's Club, and where did that start?
I always wanted to give back. I originally was going to graduate school for public service. That's where I was very, very interested.
Oh, is that right?
Not to run for public office, but public service. And I think that being involved with nonprofits was a big part of that in terms of my future life.
Wow, it's very cause related. Yes. I saw that you were involved with Gilda's Club.
Yes.
So you were one of the founding?
I was on the founding board of Gilda's Club of Northern New Jersey, which was a very unique experience because the woman who was in charge of the board was a nun. Okay,
no,
and I had never been involved with a nun in a business setting, and this woman could have run the U.S. Army. She was tough. You were late by 2 minutes, she goes, "You're late," like that. She was good. She could have run General Motors. She was
Welcome
fabulous.
to the world that I grew up in.
Yes.
But just for people who don't know Gilda's Club, can you just tell them
Gilda's
what it
Club? Gilda's Club was somewhat unusual in that it was essentially a meeting place and information sharing for women who had ovarian cancer.
Right.
Gilda Radner passed away from ovarian cancer. The challenge of that was that her, her soulmate, Gene Wilder, wanted to have nothing to do with the organization. So we had a lot of challenges in terms of bringing that out there and making it a standalone organization. So for a while it was successful, and I understand now it's not as successful. It's merged with other organizations, I believe, even at the same locations, and they're sharing space.
So much has evolved in that world of women's cancer, but they were one of the pioneers, I know.
They were one of the pioneers, but also to a certain extent, I think they went into the organization with the thought that Gene Wilder would give some star power to assisting them, and then he didn't. I
remember years ago with Gilda's Club, because I was trying to be involved with them. I believed in the cause so much that I know they had a formula for their galas every year to have a comedian in.
Yes.
And that was their shtick, basically. Yes. And but listen, it was good, and we all remember Gilda Radner from Saturday Night Live and how special she was. And but also martial arts. I didn't realize that you were involved. Are you still practicing?
I basically retired from that in my mid-50s.
So I'm okay then? You're not going to flip me or do some kind of black belt?
That's a misnomer, that basically you learn with that how to avoid confrontation, not how to have confrontation.
Well, listen, I know you're married and to beautiful Erica, and I know, and this is totally aside from everything, you've learned how to deal with confrontation through your four-legged creature that you live with.
Exactly, yes. The only martial arts I do now is with my cat, yes.
Yes, exactly.
Yes, and I lose,
That's crazy. But Steve, so when you were in college, like like you said, like public service, so different, so noble a thing to be involved with. But what inspired you, and what was that, that aha moment that then transitioned you into the work you do today and finding Alpine Creative?
Well, I think because I'm significantly older than you, the aha moment for me and many of my generation was the Vietnam War. I grew up right in the middle of that. So my freshman year of college, I was one of 5, in my small little, cubicle dorm kind of thing. Of the 5, it was the last year of the lottery. I had a very low number, which meant I wouldn't be drafted. They all had high numbers.
So I didn't realize that. So you were part
4
of
of
the
them
lotto.
were drafted. 1 of them did not come back. The other ones were changed, considerably. But that war was not like these wars.
No.
This wasn't the soldiers coming back and getting to be seated first at Delta Airline or whatever.
Right.
The way that they call out that announcement. I mean, soldiers came back in through San Francisco and they were spat on by people in the airports. It was a different time.
It was very different.
So I think for a lot of us from my generation, we developed a sense of social advocacy and social consciousness based on the fact that we knew that the government was lying to us. And haven't we heard that before?
Which it was.
Yes.
Which is now out. And
yes, of course.
Now that it's years later and the truth comes out.
Well, we knew it then too.
We knew it then too. And you're right. But I remember like it was yesterday when they picked the numbers, and it was pretty amazing, pretty intense thing that we went through. So, but that was that time. And so what did you do? Did you work before you found Alpine? Were you
I had
working
one
anywhere?
other company that I was involved with. I always was.
But always an entrepreneur?
I was always an entrepreneur. I never worked for anyone my entire life. My grandfather had a small store on Orchard Street. I learned how to sell at that, basically.
I probably shopped there. Every Sunday we went to Ratner's and shopped on Orchard Street.
Okay, so he was around the corner from he was around the corner from Ratner's.
Right, the onion. I never forget those onion rolls.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they were good.
But they were really good. So then you worked there, and then when did you start in the printing then?
Well,
I'm saying printing, but
when I was in grad school, I was looking, or we were trained to look for market inefficiencies, to look for on either a small scale or a large scale, companies that could be run better, that the industries were inefficient. So,
and you were majoring in business?
Yeah, I was primarily involved with I was in a joint degree program between the Kennedy School and the business school, and like our young friend Parker over here, who is not on camera, but I essentially created my own major, which is impossible to do now. Now it's a lot more structured.
Right.
But I was looking for a type of industry that I thought that I could look at and say, this isn't really working very well. So at first I went into the office products industry, and it was before Staples was in it. So we had a warehouse, we had trucks, we were delivering, and then separate from that I had a furniture store that was located 1.5 blocks from the World Trade Center. So I had office supplies, furniture, and then I had bought a very small printing company that I knew nothing about, and I was learning from the ground up. So I had basically everything that people needed to do in an office, but I found that wasn't the right type of vertical integration I needed to do. And then once Staples came into the market, I knew I was dead. So I decided to concentrate on the print industry. I had this small printing company, and I had this thought in my mind of why don't printers have graphic designers on staff, and why don't graphic designers have printing companies at the same location? And so basically we developed Alpine Creative Group at that time with that as a goal, and over a period of many years we put together a very unique company.
Pretty unique company. Yeah. But really, Steve, this is the first I've heard about this. I mean, that you were a disruptor with office supplies, with furniture, and with printing.
Yeah, so, at that time the term disruptor wasn't used.
Well, no, the term disruptor wasn't used, and also at that time the proliferation of people working at home, which is the need Staples, right? Home offices filled. Well, anyway, just learning about you is and learning how this evolution happened is wonderful. So I want to thank you for sharing that. We're going to wait till our next segment to learn a little bit about Alpine, but it's just, I think people don't realize that the pioneers in this industry saw things. You saw things before people saw them to fill a need, and 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 the whole world of events wasn't even.
There was no event
There
world.
was no world of events. This was like 25, 30 years ago
Yes.
that you see this vision. So
Correct.
anyway, well, thank you for sharing that with us. I
thank you
really
as well.
appreciate it. And
My pleasure.
And everyone, Steve Pastor, creator and founder of Alpine. Let's stay tuned for our next interview with Steve and find out a little bit more about Alpine, which is one of my favorites, Dianne Devitt, top 10 favorites in the industry, and how they affect the industry. So thank you very much, Steve. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thanks.